Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad you're here today. It's a beautiful Monday here in Northern Illinois. The snow is finally gone. Yay. And I'm waiting for my flowers to burst and bloom, so I'm excited about that. All the fun changes in my yard. So today is about how to silence your inner critic. Hey, Carly. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm Rita Hickman. I'm a body-mind expert and a shiatsu massage therapist, and I'm out of Northern Illinois. And most of my life I've dealt with dealing with, let's say, chronic anxiety and things like that. And that made my passion to understand how we work. So, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If not, please leave a comment and some love, and it'll just keep us moving forward. Hey, Ann Louise. So all of us have a part of ourselves, which is our inner critic, and that part of ourselves does a great job at protecting us from the bad things in the world. Hey, Robin. So our inner critic is someone that's designed to keep us from making our life more difficult than it needs to be. But the problem is our inner critic also usually is part of our limbic system. It's part of that reactionary system, the part that that's based on emotion, that's the ego, that's the identity trying to protect ourselves, when many times in order to really be happy, we have to take risks. We have to stop becoming the child with all of those crazy self-protective beliefs that we've developed over time or were passed down or imprinted on us, and really realize that we are so much bigger. We're adults, we have choices, we have things we can do, and we are very, very empowered. And so when we start making that shift and that change, that we're empowered, then we can make really good, healthy choices. And so one of the things that people struggle with is having that inner critic and not knowing how to quiet it, how to keep it in check, and how to keep it from making decisions for us. So if you remember many times, that inner critic is the voice that's trying to protect us, that bully maybe that's not going to let anybody use us, or that keeps us in check, that negativity, or that, you're not good enough, so don't even bother to try. It keeps us from failure and keeps us from hurting, which is a great, great tool. But the challenge that we need is to grow and evolve beyond that, beyond the reactionary, beyond that critic voice. And you don't get rid of it per se, because it's important. But what you do is you start to parent it. You start to create a habit, which I've been doing for years now, which takes that perspective, that inner critic, just as a point of view and not as the whole shebang. So step number one in my habit that keeps that inner critic under control is on a regular basis, I do things that make myself comfortable. You have to have a comfortable space, because if you haven't noticed yet, when you're uncomfortable, what tends to happen is we hide out in our head. So if your stomach's upset, or your shoulder hurts, or your heart hurts, or you're a little achy, you will launch into your head, because it's a great distraction. It's a way that we ignore the things that make us uncomfortable. It's how we ignore our body. So the first thing, if you want to get a healthier attitude in your head, is you have to make space on a regular basis to feel comfortable. Because if you try to do this when you're uncomfortable, it's going to be like pushing a boulder uphill. Most times people try to stop their inner critic when it's the loudest. And the best time to quiet that negative thinking and that blame and that guilt and that shame and that anger, the best time to work on that is not when you're in the middle of a full-blown freak out. It's not in the middle when that voice won't be quiet and you feel like there's 1,000 pounds on your shoulders. That's not the time. When you're in the middle of that felt sense, when that voice is the loudest, you really need to, just survive and cope with the situation. But if you want to make long-lasting change in how you engage with life and how you do things, then step number one is find multiple times during the week where you have at least 10 to 15 minutes where you can physically feel comfortable. Maybe it's a bath. Baths work great for me because it's a wonderful distraction from my felt sense. And so because of that, I feel good. I have the ability to be more in my body and be more self-reflective. I'm not running away from anything. A walk works well too. After about a half hour, I'm much better at feeling comfortable because the beta endorphins have kicked in. So I'm in a better place. Maybe it's as soon as you wake up, or maybe it's as before you go to bed, but you need to put in place a few times a week, someplace where you feel comfortable. Hey, Jennifer, now you've scheduled this space, you feel comfortable, what comes next? Now, next is a deeper or sideways understanding of meditation. Most people look at meditation as a way to get thoughts out of your head. I need to quiet my mind. And so they try to quiet their mind, and their mind just gets louder and louder and louder, and it doesn't stop. A different way of looking at meditation is as a way to create or strengthen that observer part of you. When you talk about Buddhism, they talk about an observer. For some people, if they've had childhood trauma or things happen to them like I have, I developed that observer early on because I needed someplace to hide. I felt so uncomfortable that I had to find another person, like an alter personality in me, in order to hide from what was going on. But a lot of people don't have that opportunity, and they need to actually create that observer. And this is how we do it. One version of meditation is where you observe your thoughts and then you come back to your breath. Now, you may be pretty familiar with that. Now, a lot of people, when they explain it, they say, okay, if you're laying there at the end of your yoga class and you're breathing in and a thought comes in, just let it float away like a cloud and come back to your breathing. If you want to develop that observer, that Buddha mind, that compassionate mind, and to start quieting that inner critic, there's another step that will be really helpful. When people say observe your thoughts, let's say you are observing a football game. If you're observing a football game, you've got usually, or something that you enjoy, that you like, you have comments, you have opinions on it. Now, sometimes those comments and opinions are negative. We don't want to focus on those. But other times our comments and opinions are positive. But they are comments and they are opinions. We are watching the ice dancing. We are watching the Olympics. We're watching a football game. And we're saying to ourselves, wow, that was a great play. Or that was, we may say, oh, no, that's terrible. But either way, we're talking to ourselves and we're observing what's happening. We're not trying to ignore it. We're not trying to push it away because, as everybody knows or should know, is what you resist persists. And so when you try to get rid of your thoughts, they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to hang out. But when you validate, when you acknowledge, when you have kindness and compassion for your thoughts, when you're present to them, when almost like you're parenting them, then they get what they need, that little warm blanket, that comfort, and then they can go away. As long as you're judging them and saying to them, you're a really bad thought, as long as that inner critic in there keeps getting somebody yelling at them, they're going to be more critical. They're going to be more frustrated and angrier. So you take that extra step. Instead of just listening to your inner critic and wishing your inner critic would go away, you listen to the thoughts that they say, and then you give commentary. You give feedback. You observe what your thoughts are. You give an observation of what your thoughts are. So if your thought is, I can't believe I did something like that. Hey, Dina. If your thought is, I can't believe that, I messed that up so bad. You take that pause. Sometimes you might need to take a sip of water to give you that little bit of pause, and you observe it. And you say, wow, well, that's a very human thing to feel. Thank you for sharing that with me. I realize that's a hard place to be in. You would be that mentor, that adult, that coach, that parent. Hey, Cindy, you would be that Buddhist compassionate observer. So instead of the next time you want to self-reflect or you want to quiet your mind, instead of, trying to push all thoughts out of your consciousness, instead, I want you to try observing them. I want you to try to say, hey, thanks for sharing that thought with me. I know it's a difficult one to have. Whatever compassionate, kind thing that you can say. And when that thought, when that critic gets compassion and understanding and validation, then it's okay and it usually goes away and you come back to your breathing. So get comfortable, get comfortable several times a week, and when you do for that 15, 20, 30 minutes and you have a thought that comes up because you decided to try meditating, you have a thought that comes up, observe it. Give positive, compassionate commentary and then go back to your breath. So the next time you think, oh, I'm such a loser, the next thought you think is, wow, well, I love you very much. I know it's hard to feel that way. And then you go back to your breath. So this is your homework for today. I'd love for you to practice this. I would love for you to find, hey, Jan, I would love for you to find 15 to 20 minutes today where you, one, do something that makes you feel comfortable. And when you feel comfortable, either taking a walk or taking a bath or something where you're physically comfortable, then I want you to listen to your thoughts. Listen to that inner critic, listen to whatever comes up, and then that neat extra step, which is observe it, give it feedback, give it a compassionate, kind opinion, and then go back to your breath. And every time a thought comes up, have that next positive thought. And if you take a drink of water every time, it not only gives you that pause, that break in your thinking, it also will hydrate you, which will make you feel better and be in a more balanced place. So remember your homework today, 20 minutes, get comfortable, do the breathing meditation, and add the extra step of, wow, I'm really glad that you showed up. Or that's a really hard thing to do. Give that commentary and then observation. Okay, cool. So if you could love this, if you could share this, if you could comment on this, we're creating this beautiful tribe of people. Thanks, Dina. You have a wonderful day too. We're creating this beautiful tribe of women, especially, and the more we share and the more we engage with each other in a positive way, we can be that light. Oh, wow, which is so desperately needed right now when everybody's going off their rocker. So we have an important role to play of being people that others are safe with, that others can be kind with, that they can let down their guard because we are balanced enough, we are functional enough that we can maintain our own issues and work through them and be present for the people that we care about. Okay? So wherever you're seeing this, share, like, love, comment, and comment on other people's stuff, because that's how we really create this great community, and that's what keeps us all motivated. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.